My name is Camilla Taylor, and I'm Senior Counsel and Acting Legal Director at Lambda Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Camilla deserves this award. She's one of the top lawyers that I know, period. She feels the pain of discrimination deeply, and she understands the effects that has on people, and she has dedicated her professional life to eradicating that. It's quite amazing. Camilla builds her own way because she sees what needs to be changed and absolutely committed to making it happen.
I'm Tiffany Harper, and I'm Associate Counsel at Grant Thornton.
Tiffany has spent her entire life, her career, building her own path. First, the National Summit of Black Women Lawyers, and second, and probably dearest to our hearts, is the Diverse Attorney Pipeline Program. The very reason that DAP exists is because there weren't enough women of color still around in the profession. And instead of talking about the fact that it's a problem, she thinks about solutions. And if there's something that Tiffany is to her core, is a leader.
I'm Jill Webb, founding partner and principal at Law Office of Jill M. Webb, LLC. My practice area is personal injury.
There are not many women who practice in this area at all, let alone start their own firm. I think it's really impressive that she was able to do that, go in her own direction, and if you talk to her, she'll talk about the best decision she ever made. So I think she's a great example of someone who's found their own way and was able to do it very successfully.
My name is Tina Tabachi, and I'm the partner in charge of Jones Day's Chicago office.
She needed to be the architect of her own career. Was always very forward-looking, ready to take advantage of the opportunities.
She's somebody who's worked tirelessly behind the scenes to promote the advancement of women in the profession.
And in doing that, she developed her own career in a way that I think is a model for a lot of other women.
My name is Jessica Scheller. I work at the Office of the Attorney General for Lisa Madigan. I am a unit supervisor in the General Law Bureau. In my personal practice, I tend to work on civil rights matters that you may read about in the news. I suspect that I became one of the co-chairs because I worked on it morning, noon, and night.
You have someone who went to a couple of meetings in the basement of a church or in someone's living room, and then within 3 or 4 weeks, she and her partners were putting together a rally that 250,000 people showed up at. And that was going from having no experience doing that to putting on one of the biggest rallies I've ever seen. And that's sort of Jessica's abilities in a nutshell. The minute she puts her mind to something, that becomes the most important thing.
I spent a decade at Lambda Legal working for the fundamental right to marry of same-sex couples. Since then, I've been working not only to defend the marriage rights that we won, but also to beat back some of the assaults that are coming at our community from the current administration in Washington.
That victory itself is something that she should be acknowledged for, but in particular the way she went about it.
There were some couples who were facing terminal illness who weren't going to be able to see the marriage bill go into effect in 6 months.
And those stories touched Camilla so deeply that she was determined to fix that problem.
And so it was important to go back to court and to fight for them.
She came up with this really brilliant class action strategy to move the start date for marriage by 5, 6, 7 months' time. In the grand scheme of things, doesn't seem like a lot, but for a group of couples, it was everything.
And those, looking back, are the days when I'm most proud.
In terms of finding creative solutions to problems that actually change people's lives, that is incredibly inspiring to me.
So I'm the co-founder of the Diverse Attorney Pipeline Program. We call it DAP for short. It has grown immensely since we started it in 2014. It started with 3 young women from Loyola, and we have grown to 17 women across 4 different schools in the Chicagoland area. And we're adding a new component called DAP Direct, which is a nationwide placement program and job fair for women of color law students.
I don't know how she does it all. She's one of those people that there aren't enough hours in the day to try to match her energy or what she gives at work or in DAP. DAP is one of those programs that takes people in, we meet them where they are, and we really give them everything they need in order to survive in law school.
We think that we can train law students to be client ready, to be what firms are looking for, and maybe there's a way we can connect the two.
We wanted to create something that gifted that knowledge to people.
I suppose in many ways, I don't see myself as a female trial lawyer. I see myself as a trial lawyer. I started my own law firm about 18 months ago, and it's turned out actually very well.
And Jill has tried some of the most complex cases, bringing in enough business, still made time to speak, mentor, be involved with the Women's Bar and other associations.
But I'm actually really happy, and so is my husband, who's not a lawyer, because we're not going to lose the house.
And then she has a child too, and she's a wife, and she seems to do it all.
So the fact I can make that happen and still, take an hour and a half out of my day to do something for my son is really nice.
When I was growing up in a large law firm, women felt a lot of pressure to wait to become a partner before they started a family. And I took a full maternity leave that year that I was up for consideration for partnership. The firm was fantastic, but for me at the time, that was very stressful.
The firm has a very generous maternity leave policy. When you return, the firm does offer a flexible part-time work policy.
I've been at the firm for 25 years. This is not a job that you run for. You're asked if you'll serve in the position, and I was an associate. I thought I was really busy. Then I started a family, and you really do just learn how to rely on other people, which was a big thing for me.
It's like that old Army recruiting campaign called Be All That You Can Be. That's really her charge, to help us all develop to our fullest.
I couldn't try to do everything for myself all of the time. It's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun.
I woke up the morning after the election disoriented, disgusted, and this just seemed to be like the most marquee example of the challenges that professional women in this country face. And I think I had just had enough.
When she told us, in fact, she didn't tell us. She told us after she went to the first meeting because she didn't know what it would be like.
From that moment on, I think I worked on it every spare hour outside of work, making mistakes, sorting them out, being publicly embarrassed, trying to fix it.
To even know somebody that was directly involved in that is something that makes me very happy, that makes me awed a little bit of the whole thing.
We learned about the numbers from the command center for the Chicago Police Department. We got through our remarks, got off the stage, we were like, whew. And not 5 minutes later, the commander showed her an aerial shot and said, we're not telling you can't march, but we're telling you probably shouldn't, because we estimate your crowd at about 250,000 and it's still growing.
I remember one of the questions that I was asked in my job interview was, how do you deal with losing? Because we lose a lot.
I think there's been many moments of doubt in this. I think we bring people in and we talk to them about the legal profession, and then they go away.
We didn't know what we were doing.
So we did. It's risky for anybody.
And we did lose a lot in those early years.
I never really thought about whether or not I could do it. I knew I had to do it. It was my job.
There's always a fear of failure. There's a fear of what the consequences might be.
Sometimes when things are just so wrong and you have to make a change, the only person who can do it is you.
That was the hardest part. Because once I made the decision, then you're committed. So you're gonna find a way and you're gonna figure it out.
Whether it was going to be successful or ridiculous or a complete failure, that was always in doubt.
And so you feel as though you've let an entire community down when you lose.
I hope nobody gets hurt today.
Conquering your fears, I think, is important to growing as a lawyer, as an adult, and also as a woman.
Moments of doubt still come in now, but I think we're sure-footed in that every time that an obstacle comes, some kind of way we figure it out.
Can you pick yourself up and move on?
The largest single-day coordinated protest in American history. Certainly this will be in the history books. Well, I would sure hope so. It was fantastic.
To be honest, my most rewarding part of my life, as much as I love my work, is really my family.
The relationships you build with the students, they teach me things that I probably wouldn't have learned on my own.
The ability to work with such committed, passionate colleagues and to meet incredibly brave clients along the way.
They are fighting every single day.
I tear up thinking about the bravery of some of these kids.
Life is so short. Let's treat ourselves and let's do some life experience things. You need to appreciate and spend time with family.
They bring me joy. They give me purpose.
That makes you want to go to work. No one knows how to do it when they become a lawyer. I think that everyone who dedicates their life to some sort of purpose at work needs a good network. professional mentors who can help give you advice along the way.
I have had so many people who have helped me along the way. Lawyers who I've worked with, really wonderful colleagues, wonderful friends, my family, the parent that I want to be and the lawyer that I want to be at the same time. That's not anything that I could do without any of those people in my life.
My mom, my husband, my kids. It took 500 women to plan the Women's March on Chicago, along with the 250,000 plus people who flooded the streets. The list goes on and on.
Chastity voice. And I couldn't imagine doing everything that I do without her. And a big part of it is like our ability to rely on each other.
My husband and my now 8-year-old son. After we got married, he thought he knew what he was getting into until he's like the trial lawyer widow where he doesn't see me for weeks at a time. He just leaves a plate of food out for me on the counter when I come home at midnight. Thank you, Neil. I couldn't do this without him. He's certainly a secret of my success.
Her guilty pleasure.
Maybe she really enjoys wine and just sleazy television.
Jessica's blood is about 35% Coke Zero.
I probably can't say wine, can I?
Chocolate, wine, travel, or staying in my pajamas all day.
There are so many things that she likes.
Shoes. I don't know what you're looking for here.
I'm trying to think of something amusing, but
Well, something that people don't know, Camilla is quite skilled artistic quilter. I don't know if there's a quilting type.
guilty pleasures don't really come into the picture that often.
In the water, just enjoying myself, taking my mind off of life.
She very much likes water, so that doesn't surprise me.
I love to swim.
It's like one of her happy places.
I like to watch movies with my kids.
And that doesn't make you think at all.
I probably enjoy the movies more than they do.
Oh.
But I think truth be known,
if you let yourself take a break and stop thinking about what's on your to-do list.
Being able to put all of the struggles from work aside just for a few hours with your kids.
she'd rather be at home with her 2 sons, having pizza and watching a movie.
But guilty pleasure, yeah. Chocolate covered pretzels.
But a true guilty pleasure is taking a nap.
To change the world, you first have to try to envision what you want it to be, and then going for it.
Women can do everything just as well as men and sometimes better.
I don't want to look back and regret not having tried.
You just have to do your own thing.
I remember what that felt like.
We're not always going to have people coming looking to mentor us.
You've got to raise your hand, you've got to ask if the opportunity isn't coming your way.
Try and use your networks.
The more you pour into it, the more you'll get out of it.
Hopefully, $1 million cases or more.
Don't ask for permission for your ambition.
You need to have confidence, but you don't want to have arrogance.
Kicking some ass and taking names.
Then pass it on and advise and mentor the women coming up through the ranks below you.
I hope that I live to see the day when a program like DAP is no longer necessary.
And I hope that it isn't so unique in the future that there are women who are owners or named partners.
If I have been able to accomplish some things in my life, they can do it too. They can do it too.